here's what you've got. Let me make these a little bit smaller so I can fit everything across and it'll look consistent. Okay. Now, I asked you not to go on too much further down to the information at the bottom, and I'll show you why. No, I can't see that bit on the end. There we go. Okay. So, what have we got up here? You've got all of these bits of information, and we've put that in, and we can change that to whatever we like, okay? There's a couple of days where they didn't work any overtime. You can put a hyphen in there if you like, but it doesn't matter, okay? Now, then you've got an hourly rate down here. Now, I've punched in 13.6 because if I put in 13.60, $13.60, you press enter, and Excel says, you're an idiot, because 13.60 is 13.6. However, this is meant to be money. Right?
Put the dollar sign that does 60.
Okay, so what you want to do is you can either type in the dollar sign, or this is a handy thing which you'll see later. If you go to up to the home tab, right here in the middle, there's a dollar sign. Okay, and not only will that put everything nicely for you, it will format it and everything will line up. Okay, so if you hit that dollar icon there, you've even got different options for currency. That's kind of handy. Dollars will do for us right now. Okay, now, when you get down to here, right, of course you could go ahead and you could say 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 5 plus 8. I think that's going to be 37. Right? You can add that up and you can punch in 37, okay? But we're using a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets can do this for us, right? So I can say equals, start a formula, start an equation, get it to do the calculations for you. And you could say, look, I want to add up this one plus this one plus this one. I can keep going, can't I? Right? So watch what happens if I keep going all the way to the end. You can see I've got the 5 cells tagged. I might even just write down what you've got because it's going to disappear in a second. The 5 cells, and they're all labeled, which is kind of nice, and they're all colored, which is even fancier. Okay, so what you can see in, for me, it's cell B5. It's equal to, and now I've got all of these things here, okay? B3, C, D, E, and F, okay? So if I hit enter, boom, 37 just like we expected, okay? And now the great thing about this is, suppose you're like, wait, I got something wrong, okay? I might go up the top here and say, I actually only worked, let's go to Tuesday. I only worked 6 hours on that day, okay? When you change that, the normal hours are going to adjust. And you don't have to go back to that and say, oh no, wait, I changed something up above, I better change it down below. Because it's a formula, everything changes for you. It takes care of it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now that's fine, but this is, well, this bit here, this formula that we just typed in, right? We can make it better, right? At the moment, it's just 5 days, so it didn't take us that long to click across and get all 5 days, right? But what if there were 50 days? Or 500 days, right? You don't want to be clicking forever, so here's a better way to do it. Delete all of those bits in the formula there, okay? Still have the equals because I want an equation to happen. And what you want is to add up all of those 5 values, or 50 values, or 500 values, right? In other words, you want the sum of all of those numbers, okay? So you can just say, hey, Excel, work out a sum for me, right? Now when you type that, you might notice that this little menu appears. These are called functions. There are all kinds of things that Excel recognizes, and you can just tell it, go for it, and it'll do some calculations. There are heaps of things that it has access to, okay? So to work out the sum of however many cells, open up a bracket there, right? Just like if you remember when we were doing trig, if you're doing like sine of something, your calculator, it opens up a bracket, right? Now with your mouse, drag across all of the cells you want to add up. Does that make sense? See what I did? So what it's now saying to us is, instead of this long formula, I'm writing the sum of, and what has it got in there? You see, it's got a start cell and an end cell. And this is the range. I want everything in between. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, now, you started a bracket. Suppose we better close it, otherwise the computer will throw a fit at us, right? And then you press enter. Bam. Bam, 35 just like we expected. I might change that Tuesday back to an 8 so everything matches. Okay?
37.
Oh, because you didn't change that Tuesday. Do you remember? I changed Tuesday and you didn't change Tuesday. I've fixed it now. We're all got the same data now. Is that alright? Cool. Alright, now, watch. Here's another good thing about having used a formula for this, right? See this normal hours? This refers to this third row, row number 3. Okay? When I want to work out the overtime hours and how they all add up to, right? That's just the next row down. So watch this. Take that formula, that cell, copy it. You'll know you've copied it because it's got the ants running around, right? And then just paste it one row down. Bam. Exactly what you expected, because if you double click on there, look, it's working out the sum of the next row down, which is the overtime hours. That's exactly what you wanted. Okay? Okay, so we've got 2 sums. So far, so good? Yeah? Nodding? Yes? Okay? Right. Now when I do the normal pay, I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay? You guys know how to do this. You've got an hourly rate. You know how many hours you were earning that rate at, whatever it was, right? So how am I going to calculate how much you actually earned over that week? You guys actually know how to do this already. We did it yesterday, right? I start an equation. You tell me what I should put in there. What am I multiplying together? Which 2 quantities? If I want to know how much I've earned over the week.
13.6.
Yeah, it's going to be that hourly rate, right? So I've got that cell there. And I'm going to, how do I do multiplication again? Which symbol do I need?
Asterisk.
The asterisk, which is above the 8, right? Times. And I'm multiplying by, because it's the normal hours, I multiply by the total normal hours I worked, which is that cell. Yeah? There you go. See, the great thing about this is, suppose you're like, your boss is like, oh, you've been working pretty hard for me. I'll give you a raise. I'm very generous. So every hour I'll let you earn an extra 20 cents, right? So if you change that, 13.6 to 13.8, right? Everything adjusts for you. And it's all automatic, right? This is why spreadsheets are useful. Don't have to recalculate anything. Just change the one number that's adjusted. All right, so go back to 13.6. How do I do overtime pay? I'll give you one for free. You're going to start with an equals, right? You've got to calculate something. What am I multiplying by what? You've got the hourly rate, right? This time you're going to multiply by the overtime hours, right? But suppose it's time and a half. That's pretty standard, okay? So I'm actually not going to be earning this amount every hour. I'm going to be earning this time and a half, right? That's times time and a half, right? So it's going to be 50% bigger. Does that make sense? So I'm going to take that number and rather than pressing enter, I'll say times 1.5. There you go. And that'll make it time and a half for me. There you go. Not too bad for 6 hours work. Yeah, that's right. Which is why everyone wants overtime. Well, assuming you can get there. All right, so now I want to know how much I've earned over the total week. Okay, so again, we looked at how we could do this. Say equals. What am I going to stick into this cell? What formula? What do you reckon, Spare?
D5 and D6.
D5, and I'm adding them, aren't I? Right, so plus D6. Very good. And there's your total. Okay. Now, by the way, just suppose it was Christmas season, right? And it's all hectic and crazy, right? And in fact, they're like, look, I know it's really, really busy and you guys are working really hard. I'm going to give you better than time and a half. I'm going to give you double time instead of time and a half, okay? So what would I have to modify in this situation to rectify that? I'm going to have to go back to cell, which one is it? Which cell am I going to have to adjust?
D6.
If I adjust D7, what's D7 doing? It's taking your normal total and your overtime total and it's just adding them. So I don't want to muck around with that one. Instead, I should change
D6.
D6, so I'll double click on that, right?
Times 2.
Yeah, I shouldn't have 1.5. That's what I'm adjusting, right? I'd make it 2. Okay? And everything would adjust to reflect that. Make sense?